afternoon and good evening, everyone. Distinguished guests, respected educators, speakers, partners, and participants joining us from around the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome all. On behalf of Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, it is my great pleasure. I am Shad Al-Khuli to welcome you all to the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026 entitled Inclusive English Teaching in a Changing World. Today, we gather as a global community of educators, researchers, and change makers who believe in the power of language education to transform lives and build more inclusive futures. Inspired by Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah's vision, QRTA is committed to empowering educators by evidence-based professional development, informed by international best practices and the latest educational research. This shared commitment has made the partnership between QRTA and Georgia State University both meaningful and impactful. Together, we have proudly orchestrated and grown this conference from a local conference for Jordanian English language teachers into an international event that now brings together educators from 22 countries across the globe, from Japan in the Far East to Jordan in the MENA region, to Europe, and to the United States in the Far West. Over the next few hours, we will engage in inspiring opening remarks, keynote address, panel discussion, and practical sessions exploring inclusion, AI integration, emotional well-being, multilingualism, neurodiversity, storytelling, assessment, and innovative classroom practices designed for today's learners. Whether you are joining us as an educator, leader, researcher, trainer, or student teacher, we hope this conference leaves you inspired, connected, and energized with new ideas to take back to your classroom and communities. Now, to officially begin today's conference, it is my honor to invite our first speaker for the opening remarks. Our first speaker is a visionary leader with more than 2 decades of experience in organizational development, technology, and national innovation initiatives. As the CEO of Queen Rania Teacher Academy, Mr. Abdul Majid Shamlawi has played a key role in advancing educational transformation and digital innovation across Jordan and the region. Throughout his distinguished career, he has led major national initiatives in Jordan, including Jordan's REACH and REACH 2025 programs, and has held influential leadership positions in the nonprofit and technology sectors. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Abdul Majid Shamlawi for the opening remarks from Queen Rania Teacher Academy.
Thank you, Shadi. Thank you for the warm welcome and for bringing us all together today. Allow me maybe to put my presentation up just quickly and tell me if you can see it.
Great. Maybe you would like to present, Abid?
Does it look fine now?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and welcome to our distinguished guests, educators, researchers, partners, and everyone joining us from near and far Actually, it's a pleasure to be together today, joined with great educators from across the globe. And it's a pleasure as well to welcome our partners from the Georgia State University into this conference. I'll start with maybe few points just to talk about why we're here today. And it's important to realize that education systems across the world are changing and navigating different elements, from technology to artificial intelligence, AI, to changing and diverse needs of learners, especially after the pandemic of COVID and the changes that have happened to our education systems, and to social and emotional well-being items and factors as well, and to the fact that we more and more see multilingual classrooms our children are going through. And the most important of all of this is equity and access for all learners. In fact, English today is not only a language aspect. So we see English as a belonging item. We see English as an opportunity for development. And we see English as well as a confidence and future readiness element that we all need to look at. And coupled with a new dimension that we're also seeing as a trend as well, inclusion and inclusive education, very important for global citizenship, for employability, to understand the student voices, and to bring lifelong learning as an aspect for all of our learners and all of our learners at schools. This conference, in its fourth edition, and we'll talk about the fourth edition more in more details, but we are proud today to present or to tell you that we've received more than 328 submissions and proposals before the conference from 27 countries. Our focused countries today, or participating countries today, span the Gulf region, the MENA region, USA, Asia, Africa, and Europe. So it's a truly global conference that is coming together. Our educators, our speakers today are from different groups of educators, researchers, school leaders, and innovators, and from different organizations of schools, academic institutions, and universities across the globe. Just to give you some more details about our participating organizations today, we have organizations coming together from the United States of America. We have from the Middle East and GCC, and again, Asia and other regions, and our Jordanian organizations and partners and schools coming together and attending today. So thank you everyone for joining this exciting conference. When we were designing the themes of this conference, we were wondering between the group that was working on this design on what are the main factors and drivers of this conference, and what are the main themes that we need to look at. And obviously, AI and technology is one of the major aspects shaping our education systems today, and especially as well in English in English teaching. Inclusive English teaching strategies that are important and no longer optional to be considered. They are integrated within our education system. And we come to the emotional well-being and belonging into our society, our schools, and our education system is very important. Now we come to the changing aspects of assessment and feedback, which is also influenced by how technology is shaping the education system and English teaching as well. We at QRTA have also been influenced by all of this and have been launching programs that tackle the main aspects of not only English language teaching, but also education at large. We've launched our Teacher Education Professional Diploma as our flagship teaching diploma for teachers. This was in 2016 and has been evolving into different subjects. And English is one of the subjects within this diploma. And we've recently launched a special track for TEPD, for the teaching diploma for English teachers in English language. So this is a new addition or a new development that we've had recently at QRTA. We've also launched several professional development programs and courses, and we'll come to this in a minute. And we also have our English School Networks program, which tackles really communities of practice and professional learning communities in English. We're also planning several other programs in English language, among which could be leadership programs that we're planning to launch. Coming to the professional development workshops, they span a number of topics from teaching the 4 skills of speaking, listening, comprehension, and different aspects into integrating technology and using technology and the new trends in education, such as games and artificial intelligence. So these are some of the topics that we look at QRTA, or we implement at QRTA within our programs. This conference, in its 4th edition, allow me to tell you more about how this actually evolved. Looking at how the conference has evolved during the past number of years, it started as a school-based conference and then moved to become a conference, a face-to-face conference focused on English language programs with the universities and our partners. And then it moved right now to becoming a regional and to expand this further with our partners. Allow me also to thank our local partners and our partners who have worked with us over the past years, including the Modern American School, the University of Jordan, Mu'ta University, Al-Balqa University, and Raylo Office, as well as our partners in the US who have been instrumental in shaping this conference and making it happen over the years and developing its aspects. The vision has been evolving for this conference. So from a conference looking at English language to a conference that integrates English or looks at English as an integrated aspect of teaching and learning in the global space. So this is how we've been looking at it. Partnerships have scaled, themes have changed, topics and geography have changed, all of which is to accommodate the needs of our teachers and is aligned with the trends in education, not only in Jordan, but across the globe. I would like to thank all of you for joining this conference today, and over to my partners and colleagues in this conference who will take you forward. Over to you, Shadi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulmajid Shamlawi, for those inspiring remarks and for your continued leadership in advancing education and innovation. And thank you for letting us know about the evolving of this conference during the past 4 years, and thanking the local and international partners. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next distinguished speaker representing Georgia State University. Dr. Chris Vargas is a distinguished university professor and Associate Dean for Research in the College of Education and Human Development at Georgia State University. Her internationally recognized work focuses on teacher well-being, mental health, trauma-informed practices, social emotional learning, and the creation of safe and affirming learning environments for students and educators alike. Dr. Vargas also serves as the president of the International School Psychology Association for 2025-2027, reflecting her global impact and commitment to inclusive education and mental health promotion. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Chris Farjas.
Thank you for that warm welcome. It was amazing to see so many people today, and I'm just honored to be here and to be representing Georgia State University. So welcome to everyone, honored guests, honored speakers, everyone who's participating from around the world. As we've said, 22 countries are here today. I want to thank you for your collaboration as we've put together this amazing agenda. I'm so excited for all the topics that will be presented today. Part of my job today is just to talk about Georgia State University. The Georgia State University College of Education started in 1967. So for many of you, that doesn't sound like a very long time, but for us in the United States, we are 59 years old and promising and growing. We are what we call a research intensive institution. So one of our goals is to be collaborating and researching around the world, as you'll see today from some of our presenters. One of our main driving goals is to recruit and retain teachers. And as many of you know, that's not an easy job nowadays with some of the challenges that we've seen post-pandemic. So some of our focus that you'll hear about are things like trauma-informed care, how do we support teachers in classrooms, the growing need to figure out teacher well-being, and how can we continue to support teachers in the classroom after graduation. Our university represents over 150 countries with over 4,000 international students annually, ranking us as one of the most diverse institutions in the United States. Really, I think, supporting the idea of the global community that's represented here today. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the research that Shadi mentioned. I think it's important to know that I grew up a daughter of a public school educator, which is where my passion for supporting teachers comes from. My research has grown around teacher support, teacher well-being, and as mentioned, currently I am running a project with 30 countries around the world, looking at work contexts, teacher well-being, stressors post-pandemic. And so if anyone here wants to reach out to hear more about that project, I'm happy to provide that information. In addition to that, I've been working for many years with Susan Ogletree, who is one of the people who helped support this conference, around developing teachers and supporting them in the classroom around social emotional learning, trauma-informed practices, as we've heard today, AI, evidence-based practices, and strategies. So it is my honor to be here to support this conference and to recognize our partnership with everybody that's part of this. In addition to that, it's really, we would be honored to continue our relationship with those who are here and reaching out and asking us how we can actually support you as things go forward. So again, welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the amazing thing that's going on today. And thank you again for your collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Farjas, for your thoughtful and inspiring remarks and for your work in well-being. We now move to our keynote address, the five behaviors of a cohesive classroom, which will be delivered by one of our educational nashmiyat, Dr. Juman Al-Bukhari. In this inspiring session, Dr. Al-Bukhari will explore how the principles of trust, healthy conflict, commitment, accountability, and shared results can be adopted from team leadership into educational settings. Dr. Al-Bukhari currently serves as a senior consultant in learning and development at Washington University in St. Louis, holding dual doctorates in linguistics and higher education leadership and practices. She brings a unique combination of academic expertise, leadership insight, and passion for professional growth. Throughout her career, Dr. Al-Bukhari has dedicated herself to empowering educators, strengthening collaboration, and designing impactful leadership and learning initiatives in higher education. She is also a certified master trainer and an expert in organizational and professional development. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Dr. Juman Al-Bukhari.
Thank you. Thank you, Shadi, for this introduction. That's very nice of you. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the 4th English Language Conference in Jordan. First, I would like to thank all the conference organizers, Queen Rania Teacher Academy, Georgia State University for taking the lead in organizing this year's conference. Now in its 4th year, I'm very excited to see the conference in its 4th year bringing together participants from 27 countries. I heard Dr. Kristen mention 22. We received proposals, though, from 37 countries. And I'm so excited to see, I've seen in the chat all of you coming from Jordan, Egypt, Uzbekistan, and other countries. Welcome, everybody. So this conference bringing together participants from 27 countries through a virtual format that has created new opportunities for international engagement and collaboration. My team and I, a group of 6 professors from the University of North Georgia and Georgia State University, launched this conference in 2021. And what began as a small summit featuring workshops delivered by alumni of our TEFL program at the University of North Georgia has grown into an international conference over the years. And Mr. Shamlawi, the CEO, mentioned earlier some collaboration with the Modern American School. I am a Modern American School alum, and the first year of the conference was actually hosted at the American School. Our program funded 120 Jordanian English teachers. I can see some of our teachers here in the chat. So the program was funded for 3 years. So my teachers, I miss you so much. If you are from cohort 1, 2, or 3, please share in the chat the number 1, 2, or 3. It depends on whatever cohort you were in. I can see some of you, Zaid and others, Amira, Rawan, welcome everybody. I'm excited to have you here. To learn more about this in the future, you need to follow me on social media. At the end of the sessions today, I will show you a QR code of my LinkedIn so we stay connected and you might hear more about future collaborations. Special thanks to Dr. Susan Ogletree, Dr. Bill Boozer, and Mr. Subhi Al-Muqra from Georgia State University, Dr. Shadi Al-Khuli and Ms. May Al-Hawaitat from QRTA, everyone working behind the scenes, including Ms. Zain Al-Fawaz, the Senior Communications Manager. I would like to recognize again Mr. Abdelmajid Shamlawi, the QRTA CEO, Ms. Rula Saeed, Deputy CEO and Director of Education, and Ms. Nabila Bashir, Director of Business Excellence and Growth, for their continued support. Now that actually I was going to introduce myself, but thank you, Shadi, for introducing me. I am currently a senior consultant in the Learning and Development team within Washington University, WashU. Thanks for inviting me. Before I begin my presentation, I was going to ask you to introduce yourself, what country you come from. However, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Now I have another question for you, besides introducing yourself. Since it's 4 p.m. in Jordan and 8 a.m. here in the U.S. Central Time, I would love for you to share in the chat, how are you showing up today? Are you energized, excited, tired, or perhaps tired but still ready to learn? Excited, amazing. Okay, great. Awesome, awesome, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ready to learn. Awesome. This is great. And positive. I see positive. Very good. Okay. Thanks for sharing honestly, and for your enthusiasm and willing to learn. Next, my following question to you is, my second question, on a scale of 1 to 7, in the chat, with 1 being the lowest and 7 being the highest. How engaged are you and ready to participate today? How prepared are you to interact, learn throughout the conference? Awesome. I'm seeing 5, 6, 7. Great. Okay, I'm glad I don't see 1, 2, or 3. Very good, because I know it is Saturday after a long weekend. Yesterday it was family day, right? With the siblings, the nieces and the nephews. It was very loud. I understand that you would prefer to be sitting on your couch, right? Watching TV in a quiet room. But thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your response as well. I see, of course, 5, 6, and 7s. I highly appreciate that. However, I do have one request from you. My request is that you try to remove at least 1 more distraction from around you so you can help fully engage with us today in this learning experience. Even if you put 7 for yourself, perhaps you want 8 out of 7. So my tip is perhaps silence your phone notifications, move to a quieter room. If your kids may be playing around and they have the TV on, maybe move to another quieter spot. If your window is open, you live in the city, the traffic, kids out playing in the street, probably close your window. Well, you are an adult. I don't tell you what to do, but even a small adjustment can help us become more present, connected, and engaged with one another today. Next, I'm going to go, now that I checked on you and I can see how engaged and present and ready you are, I'm going to start with and I hope you're not this guy on the upper left here. So be engaged. Let's get started. So teams, let me start talking about teams. Since childhood, right? Since we were little, we've all been placed on teams, sport teams, project teams, work teams, but most of us were simply told to play nice, right? Within a team, just play nice. And everything would work out magically. In reality, though, teams often struggle with politics, lack of directions, conflict, and self-interest, right? We've all seen the show, The Office, and we've seen all the politics. It was a comedy show, but definitely you learn a lot from that show. It's an eye-opening, right? So effective teamwork requires more than just getting along. That's where the 5 behaviors model comes in. And myself, as a certified trainer in the 5 behaviors, based on this framework, it is basically based on the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. This powerful framework outlines these 5 key behaviors that help individuals become better teammates and build stronger, more cohesive teams. Why Lencioni works in a classroom. Now, a classroom is at its core a team, right? A group of learners and a teacher leader working toward shared outcome, right? We always need to focus on the outcome. Lencioni's model maps naturally into that dynamic. So when we look at the old model, teacher-centered, right? Students managed by a teacher, whereas the new model, it is more student-centered, right? Where students function as a cohesive team and they hold each other accountable. They are accountable to each other and shared purpose. So we're applying this to transform your classroom from a managed group into a thriving learning community. And these are the 5 behaviors. And the focus here is definitely trust. Trust is the foundation and everything else builds on it. Now, every time you see those stripes, this is a new behavior. This is behavior number 1. The trust that basically Lencioni talks about is vulnerability-based trust. And this is based on the willingness to say, I don't know. Even you as a teacher, ask for help, own mistakes with fear of ridicule. An example I can give you is when I taught Arabic for 17 years in different universities before I shifted my career into leadership and organizational development within higher education in the US. I taught Arabic and at the same time, I was learning Spanish. So my students at the University of North Georgia, we have high population of Hispanic students. They spoke Spanish. So I did practice Spanish beginning of every class and I made mistakes and that made them feel at ease that that's fine to make mistakes. So teachers move that by building trust and say it loud. I made a mistake in my thinking. Let's fix this together. Even I taught them Amiya and Fusha, which is modern standard Arabic. I did make mistakes in Fusha and I said, oops, excuse me, this is what happened. I made a mistake. Let's fix it together. When teachers model vulnerability, students learn it is safe to do the same. And here are 3 activities from about the trust, building trust. What I want to tell you today, I'm going to go through the 5 behaviors. I will explain them. I'm not going to explain the activities, and that is for the sake of time. Towards the end of the session, I will share in the chat PDFs of action plan where you can start applying those activities, and the activities are explained in the PDFs. Now, connecting trust and conflict, how does all is related to the next dysfunction, the fear of conflict. By trust, a team makes conflict possible. When I trust you, I know you're not going to take this on me. I can share my thoughts, you share your thoughts. And by conflict, we always hear that we need to avoid conflict. Actually, we don't need to avoid conflict. When we avoid conflict, we are avoiding everybody's sharing their opinion and thoughts. So we need to master conflict. And here we're talking about the second behavior, not destructive or personal conflict. Lencioni refers to productive ideological conflict, healthy debate around ideas. Strong teams are willing to openly disagree, challenge ideas respectfully, and engage in meaningful discussion because they care about the team's success and not their own. Again, those are our 3 activities that you will go through and read more about it in the PDF. So make sure before you leave today to download the PDFs I'm going to share with you. Next, how do we connect conflict with commitment? Yes, when team members understand and know that we all shared our thoughts. Yes, there was conflict, disagreements back and forth. Yes, we committed to one, we all voted to one perspective, but we know that we heard everybody. That's where commitment comes in. So achieving commitment. Commitment is the third behavior. It means the team members leave discussion aligned around a common direction, even if they initially disagree. And this is when we have clarity, everybody shared, we all voted, and so you have more buy-ins. So co-creation here turns rule into shared ownership. Again, these are our 3 activities. You can read about them more in the PDF. Next, commitment to accountability. When we all commit and we know that everything is clear, the tasks are divided among the team members, that's where we have more accountability. By accountability, Lencioni doesn't mean me holding myself accountable. It means every team member holds the others accountable. Right? I know that this is your task. Task 1 is based on task 2. So me and myself as a person who's working on task 2, I would hold maybe Shadi accountable and say, oh, Shadi, where's part 1 of the task? I can't start unless you finish. So that's where accountability comes in. And then maybe Shadi needs some help. Maybe I need some help. So that's where the collaboration also continues. So here, accountability is the 4th behavior, holding each other accountable. Next, of course, accountability connects with results. And if team members are not being held accountable for their contribution, they will be more likely to turn to their own needs and interests and not considering the collective result, right? So this is how we connect accountability with results. Next, the final behavior is focusing on results. It's the ultimate shared success. And definitely students learn and see learning as a team mission, where the class wins together rather than competing for individual recognition. And I know an issue in the Jordanian schools where teachers struggle, and I see that on social media, on Facebook, teachers posting, oh my God, it is Thursday, I didn't finish Unit 5. They do have a set of time, they have to cover the material. So maybe have that result, that outcome or shared success with your students. Today is Sunday. Thursday, we have to finish Unit 5. You divide the tasks and make sure that all students hold each other accountable. Student A is responsible of student B. Student B holds student C accountable, and so on. They check on each other. And I see the smiley emojis. Yes, I follow you on social media. ISO, the teacher's communication on social media. Again, those are our 3 activities. So we have 5 behaviors, 3 activities each, and that is a total of 15 activities. I know teachers love activities. So I'm going to share the details in the chat in a PDF very shortly. Summary and action. So each behavior builds on the one below. With trust, nothing else holds. With all 5 in place, a classroom becomes a truly learning community. This is the big picture. So very quick here for teachers. Lead with vulnerability, model the behaviors you want to see. You are a member of the team, not just its manager or leader or supervisor. The same thing applies to a group of teachers and a leader. In Jordan, we have teachers and supervisors. Again, I'll be sharing that in the chat as well. I'm finishing very fast, Shadi. For students, own your learning, support your peers. Trust is built through consistent, respectful action every single day. You can lose trust in a second on some behavior we have done in the class. So you always want to make sure that you work on that. Create space for teachers to practice these strategies. A cohesive staff builds cohesive classrooms. Finally, take these insights into action. Write down those. These are your self-reflection. You will work on it on your own later. One behavior I will strengthen, one pattern I will stop, and one commitment I will hold myself to. These are another call to action. Think about these questions when I'm going to be sharing the slides with you. So I do have an invitation for you. Everybody, please use my slides. Present this work. There will be notes under the slides. Share this with other teachers. Train the teachers and the principal and the leader in the school to use this framework to create all these, to practice those 5 behaviors. In the PDF, you will see this into practice. You will see week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on, so you can work on the framework. Please connect with me on social media. Follow me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code. This is where you will hear about future programs, funding that we hope to have in the coming future. Thank you, everybody, and shukran. Before, as you prepare for your panel discussion, Shadi, everybody, very quick, I'm going to share in the chat this link several times. Please fill out this form. If you are interested in me sharing the PDFs and the slides, question at the end. The question at the end is for you to participate with us in a workshop coming up in July. And you will see more details about it in the link. Thank you, Shadi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Juman. Thank you, Doctor. Yes, would you like to close your shared window? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Bukairi, for this inspiring keynote and for setting the tone for collaboration and trust among the team, and for also today's important conversations. We now move to our featured panel discussion, English Language in a Changing World, Building Inclusive Classrooms for Diverse Futures. This conversation will be led by my QRTA colleague and conference co-organizer, one of our Nashmiyat, educational Nashmiyat, May Al-Hwaitat, who will guide an engaging conversation with distinguished educational leaders from the Philippines, Jordan, and the United States, as they explore how English language education can become more inclusive, responsive, and empowering for learners across diverse contexts and communities. The floor is yours, May.
Thank you, Dr. Shadi. Good evening, everyone. It is a great pleasure to welcome you today at our panel discussion on inclusive English education in a rapidly changing world shaped by technology, diversity, and innovation. As educators, researchers, and leaders, we are continuously asking ourselves a lot of important questions. How can English classroom become more inclusive? How can we ensure equitable access to learning opportunities? And how can we prepare learners not only for exam, but also for a meaningful participation in the world? Today, we are fortunate to have 3 distinguished panelists from different international contexts who bring expertise in digital learning, language education, inclusion, and teacher preparation. I am so excited for this session that we are going to have a thoughtful, practical, and inspiring conversation. Thank you all for being here. Now, let me start by introducing our first panelist, David Lazaro. Our first panelist is David Lazaro, Director of IDRAK, an educational initiative founded by Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah that serves millions of Arabic-speaking learners across the MENA region and refugee. Based in Amman, Jordan, David leads IDRAK work in business development, project design, international partnership across the Middle East, the United States, Asia, and Europe. IDRAK continues to expand inclusive educational opportunities through digital learning across countries, including Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Morocco, and the Gulf region. Please join me in welcoming David Lazaro. And I also would like to introduce our second panelist, Dr. Sue Casson is a professor of language, culture, and education at Georgia State Universities, a former EFL and ESOL teacher. Her work draws from international teaching and research experiences in Mexico, China, and the Middle East. And that also includes the Fulbright Award experience. Her scholarship focuses on ethical and equitable approach to AI integration, language, and inclusion. She's also the author of award-winning books and numerous publications in internationally recognized journals, including TESOL Quarterly and TESOL Journal. So it's really nice to have you, Dr. Sue. And our third panelist today, Matt Reza Liustacchio, is an associate professor V at Isabela State Universities in Philippines. She earned her Doctor of Philosophy in Language Education from St. Louis Universities, and she's currently served as the Research and Development Director of the ISU. In addition to that, she manages the university's language center and oversees the graduate program of the Department of Language and Literature under the College of Art and Science. So it's really nice to have all of you today with us. To begin our discussion today, I would like to start with Dr. Teresa. Doctor, from your point of view and from your experience in Philippines, in what ways can English classrooms move beyond language instruction to become a space for empowerment? And that's maybe one of the focus that Mhandis Abdelmajid focuses on, the idea of empowerment. So we would like to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's evening here in the Philippines. And mabuhay, everyone. So I am Teresa. I am, of course, from the northern part of the Philippines. And here in our university, our students are multilingual. We have diverse classroom strategies used by the teachers. And for too long, I know this is also the state of other universities, not only in the Philippines, but in other countries as well. The traditional English classroom felt like a courtroom because the teacher was the judge, of course, and then our pen as the teacher would always correct our students, the mistakes of our students. And empowerment for me begins when we transition from these rules, from these prescriptive rules to inclusive linguistic policing, to linguistic paving, using language to clear paths for student agency. So in our university, at Isabela State University, empowerment looks like moving away from the rigid, moving away from the prescriptive rules of grammar, from the centric essays, and instead asking students to conduct localized advocacy campaigns. So for example, we have a general education course, purposive communication, wherein the students would work with community members, agriculture staff, or farmers, I should say. And then from that community engagement, they would work on projects that would build empowerment among the farmers, the women, the men, of course, the LGBTQ community, and the others. And these particular projects would amplify as proposed projects to the local government unit here, and it becomes a launchpad for social justice and for other projects, starting from the very community to the larger part of not only in the university, but also to the larger part of the community, so that is when empowerment takes place in our classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And maybe while we are talking about empowerment, we are in a changing world, and our world is now shaped by AI and globalization. So that leads me to ask David about the core skills that English learners should have in order to thrive in inclusive and future work-ready environments. So from your point of view, what are these skills that we should give to our learners? Yes, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, May. And of course, thank you everyone for being here today. It's a timely question. Just this morning, I was in the Dead Sea with His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, for their annual Tawassul Forum. And that's the same question they're saying, with all of these emergent technologies, not just in the classroom, but also in the economy, being adopted left and right, what can we say about the people who leave school and then enter the workforce? And what skills do we want them to have? What do they not have? And while everybody agrees that technological, let us say, competencies are important, we can't do so sacrificing sort of, as you said, May, the core skills along the way, the ability to communicate, the ability to work on a team, the ability to solve problems. It's really great to see everyone being an effective prompt engineer, but if they just take whatever comes out of the model and just puts it on their exam or puts it on their essay without necessarily doing that critical analysis exercise, we're not really fulfilling our educational mandate. And so looking at core skills, again, goes back to those familiar ranges of what we call business ready or soft skills or career readiness skills of facilitating communication in the classroom, giving students problems to work out that technology supports or aids in facilitation, but does not fully produce a finished product for them. It still requires that sort of group think coming through. Dr. Juman was actually touching on it earlier, and that we need to put challenges in front of people that they will fail at sometimes, because part of the learning process, including language, involves failing. And as Dr. Juman mentioned, sometimes the best way to do it is publicly, because you can show everybody else that the sky didn't fall, nothing got set on fire, and it was all okay. And as Dr. Juman mentioned, when she was learning Spanish, I was doing the same when I was learning English up until today. I still make plenty and plenty of mistakes, and it's so important for the educators, that sort of font of knowledge in a classroom, to always represent the ability to fail, in addition to the other roles that we fulfill as teachers, and saying, I too make mistakes, I too forget things, and guess what? It's okay. It's part of the learning process. It's the way that we get better when it comes to language. So globalization, AI, these are really, really fancy and attractive terms, but we as educators must look at adoption in a way that meaningfully empowers those core skills that we can't forget when we leave the schooling or our academic experience or phase of our lives, whether it's English or any other topic. Thank you, May.
Thank you, David. And I would also like and appreciate how you connected this language learning with the idea of the digital literacy and how are we ready for the future readiness to include AI and to have all that brands in our education. And that's naturally bring us to the role of teachers' preparation and the educational equity with Dr. Su. So, Dr. Su, from your point of view and from your experience, how can teacher training programs better prepare educators to manage culturally and linguistically diverse classrooms? And at the same time, how could we ensure that our English instruction doesn't marginalize students' identities and linguistics background? The floor is yours, Dr. Su.
Marhaba. Good morning. I'm
Ahlan.
in Mexico, actually. Thank you for having me here. It's exciting to be with this prestigious panel for this really beautiful conference. So, May, this first question, we need to define for teacher education programs, what do we mean by equitable access? And it means that the students that we eventually will teach need to be included in the way that we create curriculum, so that it speaks to including their backgrounds, kind of like what Dr. Teresa was saying. Not just performing learning by memorizing a short-term list of vocabulary words or answers that students will soon forget about maybe being a tourist in Great Britain or the United States. It means allowing students to learn communication skills that relate to their own context, including things like local festivals, indigenous ecological knowledge, national historic events. And for example, countries such as Vietnam and Chile have shifted national English curriculum in just these ways, shifting the focus from there, which was this imaginary of Great Britain or the United States, to here, which is the context that speaks to the students' learning of English. There's two key reasons First, we can all work toward the goal of creating a better, more just and loving world through education. That's why we all became teachers, by working to better involve our students in their own learning, thus increasing their motivation, which is always a challenge for teachers. This is the research best way to get students to learn language, which is our ultimate goal. And so regarding this better world, we know that English has shifted from being the lingua franca, or the language of trade and understanding each other across borders, as if it were maybe better than the other 6,000 languages in the world, where this one version of maybe US or British English was the right one. I'm using a lot of air quotes here, and I hope people can follow along visually. And it shifted from being this idea of the lingua franca to what theorists such as Suresh Kanagaraja call, by inverting these words, lingua franca English, or again, lingua franca English, meaning that that language is fluid and it smooths and adapts to different digital and geographic communities. If you're online gaming, which is something that our kids are doing, we want to teach them the appropriate language for that domain. If we are, using the kind of language for social media or, music, that's the kind of language we would use. And then importantly, Kanagaraja and so many other brilliant theorists turn to the idea of translanguaging. And I know there'll be some discussion today in some of the sessions. And of course, this is where other languages are allowed to blend seamlessly, both to improve language skills and target languages, but also to allow the full expression of one's identity. So for instance, if you are having your students write a haiku or a short poem, and you want students to make expressions of love, you might allow them the space to say, for example, "You are my heart, Habibi." There's no good replacement for the term Habibi. Why would we want to change that? So we're no longer in a time where we're thinking about language as completely separate, but instead, the flexibility of languaging, the act of communicating.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Su.
Sure.
And maybe that leads us to our closing questions to all our panelists. If you could recommend one actionable step that every English teacher can take tomorrow to make their classroom more inclusive, what would it be? So we would like to hear from you. So starting with you, Dr. Su.
Yes. So first, we need to allow meaningful instruction that gets to center students' backgrounds as part of the curriculum, as well, so that the students can be interested in what they can learn from other English-speaking parts of the world. On one hand, that might mean allowing children from agricultural spaces to apply critical thinking in English about how they name their contexts, maybe the foods that they grow and the ways that they grow it, while also even using English to thinking about why they grow those things. Are they, for example, growing olives because there's an ancestral pride and connection to their lands, perhaps to olive groves in Jordan? Or are they growing export crops that were never native to the lands that they're on to feed a part of the world that demonstrates maybe an uneven power balance? Maybe this can get into the discussion of problems of exploitation and labor, and using English to then map into letter writing campaigns that are authentic ways of performing English. So that's my one. I have some other ideas, but I want to hear from the other panelists too.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Su. David, we would like to hear from you.
I really like what Dr. Su said, and I might take it a step further based on just what Idrak does in Jordan and the region, in that
Yes.
all of our courses and our content are for free and by Arabic subject matter experts. And that includes the English language courses, which is some of the most popular content we have on there. So our mission, and kind of what I would maybe highlight here, is how technology continues to be sort of the great equalizer when it comes to education, where we can reach the far-flung parts of the region or where infrastructure is maybe not as robust, in addition to sort of the 5G high fiber optic elements of our region as well. In the sense that in this region, in the Middle East and North Africa, English can often be the sort of segregator between the haves and the have-nots, right? Those who go to the fancy private schools versus those who may not. And their level of English may correspond to that, which again charts out some sort of future economic prosperity model. And so teachers, when incorporating technology, it's a really exciting thing. I've been to lots of classrooms where teachers will show a 15-minute video for their students and then look at me and say, see, I use technology. And I'm like, okay, but what have the students walked away from other than being crushed with a 15-minute video of really advanced language that maybe only one or two maybe followed along? So when it comes to using those kind of tools that we get really excited about, really kind of look back at your lesson planning as a teacher and saying, how am I making sure that everybody in my class has a meaningful way to interact with this media that I'm going to be using, rather than just maybe the 3 or 4 or 5, 10 really advanced students that seem to grab onto things right away and run away. And you say, okay, well, because they got it, we can move on to the next thing, because then you're always going to be flying with the fastest. And I know this is a phrase a lot of us teachers have heard before. And frankly, all of us are, let's say, guilty of it to some extent and saying, okay, you guys got it, so everybody got it. Let's move on. So just bear those in mind when we're taking these really fancy new tools that we're really excited to see deployed in classrooms and saying, if I have a class of 30, am I confident that this lesson educates and empowers all 30 of them to move on through the next phase?
Thank you. Thank you, David. And Dr. Teresa?
Hello again. So I agree with Dr. Sue and Dr. David, because here in the Philippines also we have a problem with the internet, of course. And with that of Dr. Sue, I commend her because it's really happening here in the Philippines that when we talk of English, it should be the first. It's not actually the first language, but it should be taught at school, and it should be the language of or all our students for them to be capable really in the workplace later. But I would like to say that one language does not have to die for the other to live. So in the Philippines, we now have the MTB-MLE, or the mother tongue-based multilingual education, though it's highly debatable now because of the situation here, of course, in the Philippines. But I would like to say that since we are now on an era wherein communicative competence is more important rather than the strict policy on English speaking or English only speaking policy, we should remove that from our classes, and we should ask our students to just state what they like to say, express themselves in whatever language that they want to. And then, coming from Dr. David, of course, the use of technology, because when typhoons hit Isabela, especially here in our area, we don't have internet, we don't have electricity for how many months. So, in that context, inclusivity means utilizing low bandwidth, high empathy technology. And in the case of the Philippines, true inclusivity through technology means the use of asymmetric flexibility, because when we have typhoons and other calamities here, we utilize localized offline learning packets. I've actually learned this from the course. I think you've mentioned this a while back during the opening program, the trauma sensitive something for the English classrooms. And we use zero related data platforms like Basic Messenger or chats for asynchronous English debate. So technology really supports inclusion, not when it is flashing the newest AI tools, but when it is designed to creatively, it is designed creatively rather to reach the students sitting in a bamboo hut, just like here in the Philippines. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And I would like to thank all our panelists for such insightful and meaningful contribution today. We explored important ideas around inclusion, AI, digital access, identity, teacher preparation, and learner empowerment. But what stands out most is that inclusive English education is not simply about teaching a language. It's about creating opportunities, affirming identities, and ensuring that every learner feels seen, valued, and capable of success. Now, thank you very much, our distinguished panelists, David Lazaro, Sue Casson, and Teresa Liustacchio. And thank you all for being part of this lovely conversation. Back to you, Dr. Shadi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our distinguished panelists, and for you, May, for such an inspiring and insightful discussion. We now move into one of the most exciting parts of today's conference, our interactive workshop sessions. We are proud to bring together 36 engaging workshops presented by educators, researchers, and innovators from 22 different countries around the world. This incredible international presentation reflects the true spirit of this conference: collaboration, diversity, inclusion, and shared learning across borders. We encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, exchange ideas, and connect with fellow educators from around the globe. So, wherever you are joining us from, get ready to engage, reflect, collaborate, and join this rich learning experience. Let the workshops begin.
I think, Shadi, you want to mention that everybody, you can leave the lobby and then join the sessions by clicking on the word join next to each session on the homepage.
Yes, of course, please. Click on the word join session, and you may leave the lobby, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shadi.
Thank you.